Hello everyone, welcome to the Python tutorial. Here we are going to learn top 100 Python introductions. This contains basic to moderate and some advanced also. You can find out this site also. Video maker. First also, what is the difference between list and tuples in Python? Lists are mutable, that is they can be edited. Tuples are immutable. Tuples are lists which can't be edited. Syntax list 1 equals 10 inside 20. Tuple 1 is equal to 10 inside 20. Here 10 can't be removed in tuple 1, but in list 10 can be removed. What are the key features of Python? Python is an interpreted language. One line is compiled as well as executed at a time. Python is dynamically typed. This means that you need to state the type of variables, you need to declare them or anything like that. You can do things like x equal to 1 and then x equal to minus 2 without error. Python will dynamically convert 111 x equal to integer as well as x equal to hello string as a string. Python is object-oriented programming. It deals with objects and functions. In Python, functions are first-class objects. Writing Python code is very quick. NumPy package is used mostly in Python. Python is used in big data analysis, web application, automatic, scientific models. The major data in which Python is used is in machine learning as well as artificial intelligence. What type of language is Python? Python is a scripting language. Python is capable of scripting, but in general sense, it is considered as a general purpose programming language. To know more about this, you can refer to Python scripting tutorial. Why is Python an interpreted language? Interpreted language is a programming language. It's not in machine level code before runtime. Therefore, Python is interpreted language. In interpreted language, a single line can be compiled as well as executed at a time. While in a compile time based language, the whole code is first compiled and converted into machine level language, and then machine level code is executed. What is paypad? Paypad is a Python proposal. It is a set of rules that specify how to format Python code for maximum readability. How is memory managed in Python? Memory is managed in Python using Python private heap space. Python also has an inbuilt garbage collector which recycles all the unused memory. The Python private heap space is generally handled by garbage collector. What is namespace in Python? A namespace is a naming system used to make sure that names are unique to avoid naming conflicts. What is Python path? An environment variable which is used when a module is imported. Whenever a module is imported, Python path is also looked up to check for the presence of the imported module in its characters. In order to use a Python, you need to first mention it in the environment variables. Then on you can use various modules of Python. What are Python modules? Python modules are files containing Python code. This code can either be function classes or variables. A Python module is a .py file containing executable code. Some of the commonly used built-in modules are OS, SYS, Math. These are built-in random JSON data. These are modules functions. Okay, not built-in data type. These are modules. What are local variables and global variables in Python? Variables declared outside a function or in global space are called global variables. Outside a function, then it is a global space, where it's global variable. Variables declared inside a function are local variables. Here, a equal to 2 is global, while b equal to 3 is local. When you try to access the local variable outside the function, and it will throw an error. I'm pausing it. So let's start from where we left off. Question number 11. Is Python case sensitive? Yes, Python is a case-sensitive language. What is type conversion in Python? Type conversion refers to the conversion of one data type into another. Int converts a data type into integer, float converts into float, ORD converts character into integer. Now this is important. ORD is used in many things. X conversion to hexadecimal from integer, conversion to octal from integer. Tuple to convert a list into tuple, set to convert a list into sets, list to convert any data type into list format. str used to convert integer into string. How to install Python on Windows and set path variable. You can install Python from the link python.org.on. After you install it, you need to add it to the set. Add and set as a path variable. First of all, your Python will be installed in the C directory. You go to that directory and copy that directory path. After that, go to your increment variable. Add a semicolon at the end of the path variable and copy paste the and then paste the directory which you want. Is indentation required in Python? Yes, indentation is very much required. It specifies a block of code. All code within loops, classes, functions, etc. is specified within an indented block. It is usually done using four-space characters. If your code is not well indented, it will not execute accurately. What is the difference between Python arrays and lists? Array and Python have the same way of storing data, but array can hold only a single data type element, where list can hold any data type element. Array will store only integer, while list can store string as well as integers. Very simple. Here, see an example. Put array as ARR. My array equal to ARR.array. So this is an example. What are functions in Python? A function is a block of code which is executed only when it is called. To define a function in Python, we use def keyword. What is init? Init is a method of construction in Python. This method is automatically called to allocate memory when a new object instance of a class is created. Init is used for constructor. Here, init is the constructor of class. Here, init constructor is used as a setup function. What is lambda function? An anonymous function is known as lambda function. This function can have any number of parameters, but can have just one return type. Statement. A equal to lambda x comma y. Next plus 1. Int a 5 process. Lambda is basically a function. This line basically is that means you are using a function. What is self in Python? Self is an instance or an object of a class. In Python, this is explicitly included as the first parameter. However, this is not the case in Java, where it is optional. The self variable in init method refers to the newly created object, while in other methods it refers to the object described. How does break continuous password? Break allows termination when some condition is met and the computer is transferred to the next statement. Continue allows keeping some part that iteration of the loop. Fast when used when you need some block of codes to skip quickly, some block of codes tactically, but you want to skip its execution. This is basically an evaluation. Nothing happens when this is executed. What does -1 do? -1 is used to reverse the order of an array or sequence. Here this reverses it. Replacements are reversed. Copy of the data structure such as an array or a list. With an array of list remains unchanged. How can you randomize the items of a list in place of X? Shuffle X. X is a list, shuffle X will just randomly shuffle it. What are Python operators? Iterators are objects which can be traversed through what iterated upon. Collections in Java are iterators here. Sets are iterators in Python. Iterators are objects which can be traversed through or iterated upon. How can you generate random numbers in Python? You can use random. Also, equal random. Random.random. Yeah, we open bracket close. Bracket open bracket close. The statement random, it will return a value between 0 to 1. And it is like if you want a value between a comma b, like 5 comma 10, then you should use rand range. Difference between range and xrange. Xrange is an object. You return an object, range will return a list. Okay, so you need to read this. This means that xrange doesn't actually generate a static list at runtime like range does. It creates the value as you read them with a specific technique called yielding. This technique is used in a type of object known as generators. That means that if you have a really gigantic range, you would like to generate a list for say 1 billion. Xrange is the function you should use. Yes, this is correct. This is specifically true if you have a really memory sensitive system such as the cell phone that you are working with. Xrange will use as much memory as you can to get your array of integers which can result in memory error and crash your program if memory has reduced. How to write comments in Python hatch and writing to you. What is pickling and pickling? Pickle module accepts any Python object and converts it into a string, represents it, and dumps it into a file by using the dump function. This process is called pickling. While the process of retrieving original Python objects from the stored string is called unpickling. That means you are getting your original Python object from the stored string, that is unpickling. Generating Python. Function that returns an iterable set of items are called generators. How to capitalize the first letter of string? Use capitalize method. How will you convert a string to all lowercase? Use lower function. Stg is the string, stg.length. How to comment multiple lines in Python? You keep using hatch or pickle dot. Triple quotes. Here it is. See the comment here. What are docstrings in Python? Docstrings are not actually comments, but they are the documentation strings. These docstrings are within triple quotes. They are not assigned to any variable and therefore at times serve the purpose of comments as well. These are not assigned to any variable and therefore at times serve the purpose of comments as well. Docstrings are documentation string but not actual comments. Can also be used as comments. What is the purpose of is? Not and in operator. Is true. Is used as a boolean iterator. Returns true when two operands are true. Example: A is A. It will return true. Not returns the inverse of the boolean operator. Value okay. So whenever you use A. In is used to check whether a particular element is present in some list, set, or dictionary, or in some sequence. Like if X in list, so it will return true because I used it. What is the usage of help and dir function in Python? Okay, this is very important. Help and dir both functions are accessible from the Python interpreter and is used for viewing a consolidated dump of built-in functions. Help function. The help function is used to display the documentation string and also facilitates you to see the help related to modules, keywords, attributes, etc. Dir function. The dir function is used to display the defined symbols. Whenever a Python is executed, why is it all the memory reallocated? Whenever Python accepts specifically those Python modules which are having a circular references to their objects, or the objects that are referenced from the global namespace, are not always deallocated or filled. It is impossible to deallocate those portions of memory that are reserved by the C library, unexcept because having its own efficient cleanup mechanism. Python would try to deallocate to destroy every other object. So basically it's saying that it is impossible to allocate those portions of memory that are reserved by the C library. Also, some Python modules are being referenced by some other Python files, so it's impossible to fully deallocate the memory. What is dictionary in Python? Dictionary are so built-in data type in Python. Uh, Dictionaries contain pair of keys like a hash function. Every key has a value in dictionary. Yeah, dict country India capital WPM. This is a very good example of dictionary. Print dict capital, so it will print there. How can ternary operator be used in Python? Ternary operator is basically if so it is used it is used to write if else in a single line. Yeah, no need to see the syntax, just see the example. If x is less than y, else there is no example. What does this mean? Star ARGS and star circuit ARGS, and why would we use it? We use star ARGS when we aren't sure how many arguments are going to be passed to a function, or if we want to pass a stored list or tuple of arguments to a function. Star KWARGS is used when we don't know how many keyword arguments to pass to a function, or it can be used to pass the values of a dictionary as a keyword argument. The identifiers ARGS in the R mentioned you could use a star box and star belief that will come to this. What does len do? It is used to determine the length of a string, a list, or an array. Then splits, sub, and methods of remodeling Python. Split is used as a regex pattern to split a given string into a list. Sub is used to find all substrings where the regex pattern matches and then replaces them with a different string. Subend, similar to sub, and also returns a new string along with the number of replacement. So subend will replace those strings which you want to replace, but also return the total number of replacements. What are negative indexes and why are they used? The sequence in Python. Negative index is so useful to get the last index very easily without knowing the total length of the string. like st minus when return the last character of the string. What are Python package? Python package are namespaces containing multiple modules. Okay. Namespaces containing multiple modules. Various built-in modules. How can files be deleted in Python? You can use os.move also. Where our text file is being deleted from the computer using Python. What are built-in types in Python? Integer, float, comma, string, boolean, dictionary. What is this numpy array? For nested Python list. Python lists don't support vectorized operations like element-wise addition and multiplication. And the fact that they can contain objects of different type means that Python must store type information for every element and must execute type dispatching code when operating on chain. Here NumPy comes. NumPy is not just more efficient, it is also more fun. You get a lot of vector and matrix operations which sometimes allow one to avoid unnecessary work. And they also efficient limiting. NumPy array is faster and you get a lot built in with NumPy. Fast searching, basic statistics, linear, histogram, etc. How to add values to a Python array? You mean insertion? Elements can be added to an array using the append, extend, and insert. So, as you can see here, append will just insert 3.4 at the end of the array. Extend is used to insert a whole new list at the end of the array. Insert is used to insert at a particular position. How to remove values to a Python array? You can use pop to remove the last element, or if you just use pop.3, it will remove from the third position. And if you remove if you use a dot removes 1.1, it will remove a particular element after searching the whole list. Does Python have OOPS concept? Python is an OOP language. This means that any program can be solved in Python by creating object model. However, Python can be written as a procedural as well as a structural language. Difference between deep and shallow copy. Shallow copy is used when a new instance type gets created and it keeps the value that is copied in the new instance. Shallow copy is used to copy the reference pointers, just like it copies the value. Shallow copy is used to copy the reference pointer, just like it copies the values. This reference pointer points to the original objects, and a change made in any member of the class will also affect the original copy of it. Shallow copy allows faster execution of the program, and it depends on the size of the data that is used. That is both to point to a single object. Deep copy is used to store the values that are already copied. Deep copy doesn't copy the reference pointer to the objects, it makes the reference to an object and the new object that is pointed to some other object stored. The changes made in the original copy won't affect any other copy that uses that object. Deep copy makes execution of the program slower due to making certain copies for each object that is being called. How is multithreading achieved in Python? Multithreading is used to speed up your code. Python has a construct called global interpreter. The GIL makes sure that only one of your threads can execute at one time. A thread acquires the GIL, does a little work, then pass the GIL on to the next thread. This happens very quickly, so to the human eye it may seem like your threads are executing together, but they're generally just taking turns out using the same CPU core. All the GIL passing adds overhead to execution. All this GIL passing adds overhead to execution. That is, more time is added to your execution. Because each time your threads are getting replaced by another. This means that if you want to make your code run faster, then using threading package often isn't a good idea. If you're executing three threads means three processes. Threads are small processes, so you can go for multi-threading. But if you are going for 1,000 threads, then I don't think it's a good idea. What is the process of compilation and linking in Python? The compiling and linking allows the new extensions to be compiled properly without any error. The linking can be done only when it passes the compile process. This, if the dynamic loading is used, then it depends on the style that is being provided. If the system's Python interpreter can be used to provide the dynamic loading of the configuration setup, while it will rebuild the interpreter. What are Python libraries? Name a few of them. Python, NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, scikit-learn, and many more. Split here is will reduce here because we didn't write anything inside the split function, like how anything, just a space is present, so it will split this string iterate the space Python into a list containing two elements that you can Python. How to import module in Python? You can use import keyword. Now some questions explain inheritance in Python. Single inheritance, multiple inheritance, numerical inheritance, and multiple inheritance. Inheritance allows one class to gain all the membership, say attributes and methods of another class. Inheritance provides code reusability, making it easier to create and maintain an application. Code reusability. The class from which we are inheriting is called superclass, and the class that is inherited is called the derived class or child class. The class from which we are inheriting is the superclass, and the class which is the class that is inherited is called the derived child class. Single inheritance: when a derived class requires the membership of a single superclass. Multiple level inheritance: a derived class D1 is inherited from base class. Base 1 and D2 are inherited from base 2. Cycle inheritance: from one base class you can inherit any number of child classes. Cycle inheritance means that a single base class can be inherited by many child classes. Method inheritance: a derived class is multiple inheritance. A derived class is inherited from more than one base class. Okay, some mistake has been done here in writing this. Multiple inheritance means that a single class is inheriting from more than one base class. Okay, base class means superclass. A multiple inheritance means you are inheriting from more than one class. Simply, cycle inheritance means that your base class is being inherited by more than one child classes. Multiple level inheritance means there is a chain of inheritance, one by one, another one is inheriting. Our class is created in Python. Class employee class is created, but you need to add a constructor. Init is used. F space init is used to make a constructor. Even is the object of class employee, and ABC is being passed. What is monkey patching in Python? In Python, the term monkey patch only refers to dynamic modifications of class or a module at runtime. As we can see, we did make some changes in the behavior of f in my class using the function we defined monkey f outside of the module n. Does Python support multiple inheritance? Multiple inheritance means that a class can be derived from more than one parent class. Means that a class multiple inheritance means that a class inherits features from more than one class. Python does support multiple inheritance. What is polymorphism in Python? Polymorphism means the ability to take multiple forms. So for instance, if the parent class is a method named ABC, the child class also has some method the same name ABC having its own parameters and variables. Python allows polymorphism. Define encapsulation in Python. Encapsulation means binding the code and the data together. A Python class is an example of encapsulation. How do you do data abstraction in Python? Data abstraction is providing only the required details and hiding the implementation from the one. It can be achieved in Python by using interfaces and abstract class. Does Python make use of access specifier? Python does not require access to an instance variable or function. Python lays down the concept of prefixing the name of the variables, function or methods with a single or double underscore to imitate the behavior of protected and private access specifiers. How to create an empty class in Python? You can use pass keyword. What is an object? Open bracket, close bracket, D. It returns a featureless object that is a base for all classes. Also, it does not take any parameters. Write a Python program in Python to produce start value. For its in range are in stars. Space. See this first of all, space into. This will print as many spaces as it wants. Is just 5 minus 1 minus 1. So it will print 4. 5 minus 1 minus 1, 4 stars. Plus how many stars will print? Star into 2 times x. 2 times x plus 2 into 1 plus 1, 3. So it starting from 0. So here you can print 4 spaces, then it's 1 star. Write a program to place Fibonacci series. I mean, you can write this. Checking for a number is prime and write a program to check if a 6 is a parent row. If A is equal to here, B is equal to A, this is new in Python. You can use this to reverse our string. If A equal to B, print parent row. That means madam, maybe a madam, it's a parent row. Or 323 is a parent row. Write a one line that will count the number of capital letters in your file. To count the total number of capital letters in our file. Your code should work even if the file is too big to fit in a memory. With open SFH. This is used to open a file. Text equal to fh dot read for character in text. If character is dot is upper, count is will increase. We will now try to transform this into a single line. Count sum. 1 for sum. For line in th. 1 for line. This line is creating a list. Okay. So 1 for line in fh. For character in line if character is upper. Now I'm pausing it.